Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Rip N Riff here on the Rip N Riff YouTube channel. That over there is at Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts Adam Bernard. It is our season finale. We will be going into summer hibernation mode. Bears hibernate in the winter. This show hibernates in the summer. And appropriately, this is also leading into Memorial Day weekend. So that's the unofficial start of summer for many of us. I know when we used to work at the Sirius XM studios in Midtown Manhattan, it was like, all right, so after this week, it's going to be real sparse around these parts for the next 2+ months. So, yeah.
I do miss summer Fridays in the office, which were nice. The worst part of it by far, when I was working a schedule like later in the day, like, our boss said, I'll shout him out by name. Shout out to Steve Torrey. He would always walk by and be like, hey, it's summer hours, so make sure you get out of here earlier. I was like, Steve, I'm working a show from like 3 to 7 today. Like, I can't leave. Like,
I can show up later.
He was just oblivious to that. He's like, well, as soon as the show's over, just make sure you like throw it on demand or whatever and get out of here.
And it comes from a good place. He's like telling you, like, hey, right, you work too hard, get the hell out of here. But it's like, yeah, well, I can't. What am I supposed to do? Leave at 6:30 and tell the host, hey, you got it the last 2 segments. Later.
Exactly. It's just kind of oblivious in a nice way. Like, his heart's in the right place, but it's just like, come on, Steve, think about this a little bit.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it's definitely entering summer mode here and across the board, and important to just take that time to like catch up on you, do things you got to do, like make sure you earmark time in the summer to get things done that you want to get done, not that need to be done.
Oh, there will be a lot of time to do that this summer, obviously.
Yes, for similar circumstances on both. Now, let's get to the pack ripping lineup first, and then I got a little nugget I want to follow up on today. We're covering all 4 sports today. There we go. So those are the 4 packs we're doing today. We'll go through each one individually as we go. Jared's going to lead off, and then I'll pick up from there. But before we get to that, there was we're not 60 Minutes. We're not Dateline NBC. We're not like, breaking any big news here or doing any big exposés. But one thing I did mention towards the beginning of this season of Rip and Riff was we went after the big keychain industry for making shoddy keychains that fall apart, and, they cause you to go buy more. So one of the things that I do now that I'm a San Jose Sharks flex plan holder, I go to a large handful of games every year now, is I'm not going to get a souvenir every game. My daughter, sure, but I just get a hat at the beginning of each year, and like one I like. While I was purchasing that hat this year, right around the time of the keychain, discourse we had, I was like, you know what? They had like a San Jose Sharks, it was like leftovers from Joe Thornton retirement night, like the Thornton with the 19 and the beard silhouette, like a typical bottle opener, black metal keychain. I'm like, you know what? I need another one. Let me get one of those. Would you believe it did not make it to the Stanley Cup Finals this year without it falling and losing? I don't know where it is. It's gone. It doesn't even make it one NHL season. The keychain industry, we're on to you. We see what you're doing.
Wait a minute. You're acting surprised that something associated with Joe Thornton and the San Jose Sharks fell apart before they reached the Stanley Cup final?
Oh, wow. If I had the rim shot ready, I mean, there we go. There it is. There we go. But yeah, I mean, that little bit of a low blow. I mean, you talk about choke artists.
They did reach a cup final, but you know what I'm saying. Like, those Sharks teams underachieve.
No, but like we were talking off air about like one of the best Devils teams is a team that didn't win it all. You talk about those Sharks teams that choked in the late like 2000s, early 2010s. I mean, they were the choke artists of the era. Like that's what they were synonymous with. But maybe things are coming around this time for them. But nonetheless, we could talk Sharks another time. I'm about the keychain right now. Like I want a keychain that lasts.
Yeah. I mean, I don't go keychain. I just go keys, like car key and
I like to have one.
That's all I need.
I like to have one on there. I'm not one of these like people like like maybe back in high school where like you had more keychains than like keys for everything. But no, like I need.
Would you consider a lanyard instead of a keychain?
I like to. I don't know. I want something sporty on there. I don't know. Maybe it's just give me something that'll stay on the chain. Anyway, we've spent way too much time talking about this. We got cards to rip here. First up, we're going to talk about here is Jared's going to bring basketball to the table. We did some basketball a couple of weeks ago. This is going to be a 2025-2026 Topps Chrome. There we go. Got the right one up on the screen. Of course, looking for a Cooper Flag rookie. I like those like comic book themed ones, like you can see there on the Wemby. Like it's like a old school comic book cover. Like I hope you get one of those.
Yeah, those are pretty sick. And like, if I pull that Cooper Flag card, that would make the show right, right there alone. Just pulling that one. But we got 2 packs of these top Chrome cards, and fortunately, they have the NBA license, so we can enjoy that as well. The fact that they're actually using the proper team names and uniforms.
So the Jalen Brunson card up there, Knicks in the conference finals against the Cavs. We can talk about that a little bit. But what's our first?
Right. Got 2 packs here, 6 cards. Max Christie here with the Dallas Mavericks. They'll be picking the lottery again this year. I do love the Chrome cards and just how they reflect off of.
They're very thick, very, very thick.
They are thick, and they all the one negative with the Chrome cards is they all come. They're like all curved like that. You can kind of see it there.
It's because I think they're so thick and they have that layer. It's just like like they always come with that like bend.
Yeah, so it is what it is. De'Aaron Fox here with the San Antonio Spurs. They'll be in the conference final. Or I say conference final. We should call the Western Conference final the NBA Finals, because I think whoever comes out of that's winning the championship. I don't care what the Knicks do.
Our buddy Dustin Sweetelson said last night that this conference final is very reminiscent of Rams Seahawks. Like whoever wins this
exactly,
is
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and I agree with that. Like, you know, if I'll put it to you like this: if the Thunder win, they're going to beat the Knicks maybe in 5. If the Spurs win, they're going to beat the Knicks in 6. You know, I'm picking the Knicks not because I'm like a New York fan or anything, just because Cleveland could not have been more mediocre in that series at times, and they still managed to survive against Detroit. I think they'll get a couple of games from the Knicks, but I do think the way the Knicks are playing right now, like they're on the path to get back to the finals at least. But yeah, it's whoever wins the West is winning it all.
Yeah, and like Knicks have home court advantage as well, so that helps. So we shall see. But they'll be going up against Jalen Williams and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and yeah, the Thunder have been doing this without Jalen Williams. So imagine once they get one of their better players back, how much better they're going to be. Like I feel like the Thunder are just inevitable at this point.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And they're that good right now. They're that team that like sometimes you see it just happens in sports. It's like they're that. I mean, you're kind of seeing in the NHL with Colorado, and make an argument for Carolina. Like it's make an argument against that team right now. Like, you know, if the Spurs beat them, that's the only team I think that's capable of beating them, because they haven't beaten them.
It's like going against like the Warriors at their peak.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Like they're in the early part of that window, and there's no reason to think that they're going to slow down in the next few years. Like they're the kings of the West until further notice.
Yep.
Although the Spurs, you know, maybe it's them and the Spurs in the conference finals every year at this
point. We have Cole Anthony here with I guess with the Magic or with the Grizzlies. I don't know. He's wearing a Grizzlies jersey. I don't even think he's on either of these teams anymore, to be honest.
I have
Tim Hardaway Jr. with the Pistons.
His dad was a hell of a killer crossover.
Yep. And Anthony Black here with the Orlando Magic. We cannot call him Uncle Blackie like Camp Krusty.
No, that would not be a good thing to say.
That would not be good.
Nonetheless, decent first pack there. Let's see what we got out of pack number 2. Yeah, I mean, next year with the East, at least, you know, okay, like Tyrese Halliburton will be back. You know, Boston should have Tatum for the full season, so the East should be at least a little more competitive next year. So that's another reason why if you're the Knicks, you get through. And you know, not to say it's impossible for them to beat the Thunder or the Spurs, but you're going to need a big key injury or something. But next year, you're going to have a much tougher path to the NBA Finals in the East than you did.
Yep, we got ourselves Peyton Pritchard here with the Celtics. Like you said, the Celtics will be back in the mix next year. Let's see, Alex Sarr with the Wizards. Wizards in the news recently, getting the number 1 pick in the draft lottery. So good for them.
I miss the old Washington Bullet days.
I agree. Let's see, we have Jared Allen here going up for a dunk.
Had a pretty good game last night against Detroit.
Yep, he'll be taking on the Knicks starting this week, as we discussed. Let's see, we have Lauri Markkanen here with the Utah Jazz.
He's going to be a big name this offseason. That was a name that I saw somebody talking about how the Pistons need to go out and get him in the offseason to help with their scoring because they need something besides Cade Cunningham.
We have ourselves Jeremy Sochan. I think he's with the Knicks now, if I'm not mistaken.
Of that, like parallel, get what they call
Yeah,
that.
it's pretty sick. And last but not least, Rui Hachimura with the Lakers. Lakers will be an interesting team this offseason as well, since LeBron's hitting free agency. It sounds like the Lakers would like to move on from one LeBron James, which, I mean, he's still a hell of a player considering he's 41 years old. But I can kind of understand wanting to turn the page and go in a different direction. So we'll see how that plays out this summer.
Yeah, I mean, you got Luka there. It's got to be his team, and it's tough to do that with LeBron around. Even though he is older, he, like you said, he's still playing at a very high level. So see what happens with him in the offseason. Basketball. That's probably number 4 for us here. Now we're gonna go to what's number 1, for at least for me here. I think for you, maybe it's football. I don't know. We got a little hockey we talk about here. We got some 2020-21 Upper Deck. You see some of those autos we're looking for, maybe Cale Makar, Connor McDavid there. And Cale Makar is, if Colorado isn't going to go all the way, it's going to be that because Cale Makar's shoulder is hampering him that much. Now they've had some extended rest here. As the Vegas wrapped up against Anaheim a couple nights ago, so that series doesn't start till Wednesday, I believe. So good week for about a week for Makar to get his shoulder at least in a better spot. But I worry a tiny bit about the goaltending with the Avalanche, but I mean Wedgwood has still been pretty good overall this year. Maybe Blackwood hasn't been as reliable, but should be a good series. Vegas should give them a little bit of a fight. I think I could see Colorado in 6 perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, look, Vegas is battle tested. They're going to go after Makar. They're certainly going to hit him and test that shoulder, and so certainly expect that. I think I like Colorado in 5, but I don't know. I got to think more about that series. I haven't really dove too deep into it yet, but we can go into these packs here, the Allure packs. It'd be really nice to pull an auto. Especially after not doing it with the NBA cards. So let's make up for it with the NHL.
Absolutely.
Let's see. We have Dustin Brown here with the LA Kings, legendary LA King there, captain of their Stanley Cup championship teams.
Yeah, Dustin Brown. I don't know if Dustin Brown would be as effective in the current NHL. I feel like that was the last era where a guy of his, talents and abilities and skill set still thrive.
Yep. A rookie card here. Unfortunately, it's Nicholas Bodin with the Chicago Blackhawks. So,
not the Blackhawk rookie you're necessarily looking for. I mean, different year still.
Not quite. Let's see. Brady Tkachuk here with the Sens. I mean, obviously, his name's going to be in the rumor mix all summer until he basically says, "Don't trade me" or "Trade me."
He's gonna end up somewhere else. It's just like, and the thing is, like, it's tough to figure out exactly where. And Dallas, the Rangers. There's been a few teams that have names come up, but that seems more like something that happens closer to the draft.
Yep. Let's talk about a guy who's had a heck of a postseason so far. We got a City Selly card here with Mitch Marner celebrating here with the Maple Leafs and famously run out of town there in Toronto. And lo and behold, having a big postseason in Vegas. Maybe it turns out that Mitch Marner wasn't the problem after all for Toronto.
Even if you take away that sick goal he had to open up the scoring the other night, where he had to basically turn around in the crease and still pop it in the net. Let's take that out of the equation. He's still having a fantastic. And he got off to a little bit of a slow start. I remember there was a weekly producer meeting where our boss, who's a Leafs fan, was like, "Hey, how's Marner doing in the playoffs?" And I'm like, "Well, at that point, I said he's not doing nothing. He hasn't really been scoring, but he was still contributing." Then he got going, and now Vegas is in the conference finals. And like we said, it's going to be a tough road to beat Colorado. But if they get past him, it's going to be because Marner had a great series.
Yep. We have let's see. We have a parallel card here with Jake Gensel here.
Well, I like
really
that.
Pops nicely, especially with that yellow Penguins jersey. So I like that.
Here's the other thing too, going back to the Toronto side of it, they've got the number 1 overall pick. There's been some Austin Matthews potential trade rumors. That's going to be Do you think Matthews gets moved ultimately? Like, I feel like it's a lot of speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised either. I just know it would be somewhere out west if it happens. They're not going to
If
put
he
him out.
wants to be moved. I mean, here's the problem with Toronto. It's not an easy fix. Even with them getting the #1 pick, like, let's assume Gavin McKenna is the #1 pick. Let's assume he steps in immediately and he's good.
Not necessarily like, Matthew Schaefer, Macklin Celebrini good, but he's a reliable contributor out of the gate.
Out of the
A
gate.
nice first season.
Even with that, like, they still need another center. They still need a #1 defenseman. They still need to overall half the blue line. They still lack the depth up and down that lineup. And they don't really have the flexibility to go out and address a whole lot of it because they don't have a lot of draft picks because they've traded so many of them over the years. And they're not going to have their first round pick the next 2 years after this pick. So, adding a Gavin McKenna to the mix will certainly help, but there's a lot of work to be done there in Toronto. That's not going to be a quick and easy fix. And if you're Austin Matthews, you're probably looking at this and you're like, especially if they have another bad year next year, even with Gavin McKenna, it's like,
these are peak Matthews seasons. This is like the peak of his career right now.
Right. Like, you can't be wasting years of your prime on a team that's going nowhere. And Matthews has always taken all these short-term deals anyways to kind of give himself a control over the situation. So, like, I could definitely see, it might not be in the next calendar year, but like if they have another so-so or bad year this year, I could definitely see him just be like, I'm done. I'm out.
Here's the other thing too. The worst thing I think for the Leafs to happen is Matthews winning gold at the Olympics, because it's like now he's got a taste of success. Now he knows what it's like to get to the top of the mountain in a big spot, and it's like you look like you laid everything out. You look around Toronto's landscape for the next few seasons. Like, what am I doing here? Like, and like you said, prime Matthews time. Like, it can't.
And wasn't just getting a taste of success. He captained the team.
Yeah,
like so that matters.
And like you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I know rumors are rumors, but like, okay, San Jose's got the pieces to get something done. Would I like to go skate with Macklin Celebrini? Sure. Utah, now they've got an actual ownership that they're investing in and they're a team on the rise. Would I want to go out there? Sure. Just to get out of the Toronto fishbowl, where if he has a bad game in Salt Lake City, nobody's gonna throw a bag of dog shit at his car window. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's happened. But you know what I mean? Like, it might have happened. But you can live your life in Salt Lake City as a hockey superstar. You can live your life as a hockey superstar in San Jose. And yeah, you're probably going to get recognized, but it's not going to be like National Enquirer tabloid kind of coverage. Be like, oh shit, I saw Austin Matthews picking out fruit at the local Safeway. Like, that's what it's going to be.
Yep. Last but not least for this pack, Jonathan Huberdeau there with the Panthers. Got one more pack to go.
I know everybody's talking about how it's a given that Florida's going to bounce back next year and all that. Like, I don't know. I mean, but figure out what your goaltending is. Bobrovsky, yes, he had.
That's a big question mark. Yeah.
Like, I know Bobrovsky didn't have a great team in front of him this year, but he did not look good. His wins were not reflective of play. Tarasov is not. He's a great fine as a backup, but he's not. So I don't know what they're going to do there.
I don't know. I think they'll bounce back. I think the roster is just generally just too talented not to. I think having 3 deep playoff runs in a row just takes a lot out of you physically. Sure. And now that they have an extended summer to just rest up and get healthy, I think they'll be better. Yeah, they do have to figure out what they're doing in net. I'm going to guess they probably bring back Bob at a discount would be my guess. But I don't know. We'll see. Like, you can't pay Bob $10 million again, but you want to pay Bob $4 million and use that money somewhere else on the roster, go nuts. I mean, like, the rest of the roster is pretty locked in there. Like, no, their top 9's locked in. Their defensive pairings are pretty much locked in, and all they're doing right now is just kind of tweaking around the edges.
Yeah, listen, when they're healthy, yeah, they're the favorites, but that's also a much tougher division now. That's yeah. Montreal's on the rise. Buffalo has turned things around. Ottawa, yeah, they are what they are, but they're still a playoff team 2 years in a row. So yep. Boston's still, every time we think, all right, this is the year Boston's going to kind of regress.
Yep. All right, let's see. We got a second pack here. We have John Tavares, captain of the Maple Leafs, or at least he was. No longer the captain of the Maple Leafs. Tomas Hertl with the San Jose Sharks, who obviously is now part of Vegas's playoff run there.
And his offense has gotten going lately, and that's a difference maker for them as well.
Yep. Martin Kaut rookie card here with the Avs. So there you go. Let's see. We have a Sasha Barkov base card here.
All right.
Let's see. We have a parallel here of a rookie card here of Pavel Francouz with the Avalanche.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, who doesn't remember him? And last but not least, our guy. Maybe this guy will be the goaltender for the Florida Panthers this year. How about Jordan Binnington?
No, that's an interesting because he's clearly a guy that when the chips are down, he steps his game up.
Yep.
St. Louis hasn't been in that situation in a while, and so I think a guy like him, it wouldn't be like a long-term option. But if you're looking for a guy to get you some quality goaltending for a year or two,
yeah. Well, he's got a year left on his contract. I could certainly see him extending at his similar number. Like the way he's played the last few years, he's probably not getting a pay raise. So I could see that being the guy for him.
One thing I was just like playing like armchair GM. Sam Bennett and Brady Tkachuk make roughly the same amount of money. If you wanted to reunite you talk about getting the Hughes brothers together in New Jersey. What if you wanted to get the Tkachuk brothers?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if Florida wanted to do that. I don't know what Florida has to trade though. Like I'd have to look at their
and it would be the contract to balance it out and player value. Obviously, they got to
problem with Florida is they got so many guys with no move clauses. Like who's signing up to go to Ottawa?
Right, exactly. So that would be, but just like looking at it from a purely number standpoint, that would be like the start right there.
If I were Ottawa, I would want. Yeah, like they don't even they have their first round pick this year. Like I'd want that first round pick this year, which is whatever it is in the lottery, probably 13th or 14th. I would want Anton Lundell. I would want
it would be too pricey it would be like, sorry, we can't do that. But I'm sure that conversation's been had at some
right. I'm just saying like what I would want if I were Ottawa. Like I want Anton Lundell. I would want Mackie Samskevich. I would want that first round pick. And I don't know. I guess another lesser pick.
And the thing is, like, Lundell is important to them, but you got to give up somebody of value. And when you're healthy, Lundell down the roster a couple of pegs. So yeah. That would be it would be obnoxious to get Chuck brothers together in Florida with Marchand on the team.
Oh jeez.
Talk about public enemy number one in the NHL.
Yeah.
Let's see. I know the Rangers have also kicked tires on him too. That's been I shouldn't say kick tires. A name that they could use a guy like him. He would fit well with the fan base.
A lot of teams could use a guy like him. I with the Rangers, I mean, I feel like their roster's just they're not in a place right now to kind of go and add a guy like that.
That's the other yes, a lot of their younger guys started to click, show some chemistry, all that stuff, but is that a sign of things to come, or is that just at the end of the season? Sometimes these younger players, once they actually get a chance to get out on the ice and play a few games, they get gelling, they get going. You're playing against other teams that are either banged up towards the end of the season, or maybe they're resting guys in anticipation. Like, I think the Rangers are a team that's heading towards more of at least a retool, not a rebuild. Like, yes, don't fall into that trap. Oh, but if we bring Brady Tkachuk in, okay, maybe we can compete in the Metropolitan. No. Don't do.
They need to draft well. Like they got to hit,
but they don't.
I forget where they picked the 5th overall, maybe
fourth,
something like that.
4th, 5th, but they don't draft well. That's Drury's problem too.
No, well, I mean, but you can't just stop drafting altogether either. Like you have to keep taking your swings there.
Oh, you take your swings, but I would, sometimes I'd like a pinch hitter to maybe come to the plate when you got a guy that's going 0 for however much he's gone. Maybe it's time to sit him versus the lefty. It's time to go. We'll see how that goes. But
fair enough.
What did you say?
I said fair enough.
What about Eastern Conference Finals here? Is it a foregone conclusion for Carolina, who they're going to beat whoever wins Game 7 tonight versus Montreal or Buffalo? I think Montreal could give them a bit of a fight, maybe push it to 6. Buffalo could definitely get a game or two. I think we're on a crash course for Colorado, Carolina.
I would agree. I like Montreal tonight for what it's worth.
Me too.
But I do like Carolina's series. This feels like Carolina. This feels like I know we mentioned it on the show in previous weeks. This is the Buffalo Bills. Like they got to get to the championship this year. If it doesn't happen now, I don't know when it's ever going to happen for them.
Yeah, because the Panthers are not in their way. And we just spent a lengthy amount of time talking about how the Panthers will bounce back next year. At least, that's what a lot of consensus seems to be.
There's no lightning in their way. There's no like the Rangers beat them is in some random year because Shesterkin throws up a 930. Like there's none of that in the Eastern Conference right now. There's no excuse for the Hurricanes to not reach the Cup final. Now, I wouldn't expect them to win when they get there, but you get there. I mean, anything can happen.
I don't think listen, I know Colorado's a juggernaut, but Carolina, as long as Freddie Anderson is giving them competent goaltending, and he's been fantastic, but as long as he's giving them competent goaltending, that's going to be a tough skate for Colorado because you also got to look at the flip side of it. Colorado's going to have gone through. Yes, they beat Minnesota in 5. That's still a tough team. The Kings, whatever. The Kings played them tough in the first 2 games, and that was it. They're going to have to deal with Vegas. Vegas is going to give them everything they can. Vegas is not going to be an easy series. Whereas you have Carolina swept Ottawa with minimal resistance. Philly was never really in that series except for over the game 2 and game 4. They're going to get a Montreal or Buffalo team that's gone through the ringer in the Atlantic bracket, so they should get a team that's been a little bit tenderized. We'll say this is it for them this year. Like this is like we talked about the Knicks. This is your easy window. This is it for you, Carolina. And yeah, I know Colorado's standing at the other end of that, but you might get goaltending is the weak spot for the Avalanche. We'll see. I think that'll be a good series, and I it's chalk, but sometimes some years you get chalk. How it goes.
Yep. All right, let's move on.
Let's do a little baseball here. We got I know you like those hologram cards. I've opened up something similar to that. So we'll go. I got 2 packs of 8 here. That's why you could you look at the cards and you kind of see it looks like half like one card, half like the other there with the
it's like those old Magic eyes.
And the other thing cool is that is a Mark McGuire misprint card. So we're looking for that. They spelled it McGuire. So that's a cool error card. If we grab that one, bring up the Rip Cam that it's working this week. Cable out of the way. There we go. Right.
I wouldn't have realized that was a misprint until you pointed it out.
Well, I was so we got a McGuire card, but it's the proper. It's oh no, we did get it. And on the back, it's misspelled. On the back, it's spelled properly, but on the front, we got the McGuire miss one.
That's a fun little oddity to have in the collection.
And that also might be a nice one to flip, not flip, but trade in because I am in the Bay Area and there is a desire for Oakland Athletic cards here.
Yeah.
All right,
that's a cool one. I like that.
We got it right out of the gate. It doesn't happen every day. Let's see what else we get out of these. We've got a Jeff McNeely card here with the Red Sox. And you can kind of see the
yeah, you can kind of see it a little bit.
The backs are very nice with the gold inlay and stuff like that. Like the back's almost nicer than the front. Something. Out there. Who do we have here? We have Kevin. We got a little bit of bricking here. Kevin Brown back from the when he was back on the Texas Rangers before he was like one of the first pitchers to get like a mega contract. I remember was it the Dodgers, I think.
Yeah, he's one of the first ones. Think of him, you think of like Mike Hampton picking the Colorado schools over New York and all that sort of stuff.
Let's see. What do we got here? We've got Mark Langston with the California Angels. A pretty good pitcher in his day as well, back there in the AL West, also pitched with the Mariners. We've got a David Justice Starflix parallel or insert series here too. Big player with those early 90s Braves, also was a key player on those Yankees teams in the late 90s too as a pinch hitter off the bench.
Yep.
Let's see here. There's a pretty good pack here. We got Andre Dawson. By this stage in his career, he was a DH with the Red Sox. And 2 more cards out of this pack here. We got a couple of first basemen. First up, John Olerud. He is known for wearing the hard helmet in the playing in the field. He
Yep.
had like some sort of skull thing where he had to stay protected. And then we'll move these over because the stack's getting big. John Kruk.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm laughing at John Kruk for a reason. And this is a very, very niche, obscure reference. Have you ever watched the episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force with John Kruk?
I have not. I've seen a few episodes, but not the one with Kruk.
You should go and watch that one in particular. It's just a hilarious episode.
They talk about him having one nut. Is that what it is?
No. There's a lot of sexual innuendo in that episode, though. I can't say much more on top of that.
Okay, fair enough. You don't want to rule. Yeah, I get it. And plus, we're a family program here, even though we're not really. We'll go to sports. We'll go to baseball pack number 2 here. First,
by the way, the second best sports cameo in Aqua Teen. The number 1 sports cameo is Bart Oates.
Bart Oates, former Giants center on those Super Bowl teams in the late 80s, early 90s. All right, so let's move that card over here. That there. We start off with Kevin Mitchell here with the Cincinnati Reds back when they had the white and red pinstripe look. Kind of looks like he's got no head there because of the way there it is.
It does, yes.
Headless outfielder. We've got Devon White here with the Toronto. I like these cards. These are cool. What else do we got here? Got a John Jaha, one of the better names, back when he was with the Brewers. The guy, the home run chase here, one of the guys that gets lost, he hit 50, Greg Vaughn.
Yeah, he was a big time slugger in his day.
Let's see, what else do we got here? We got 4 more cards in this pack. Both of these packs pretty strong. We got a Chuck Finley, California Angel, so 2 members of that 1994 rotation. So they called it Sportsflics 2000 because these cards came out in 94 because I felt like they probably felt like by the year 2000 we're gonna have like these cool. Who knows what? Remember what we all thought was gonna happen just like a few years out in the 90s and never really got there. Still don't have
flying cars and stuff like that.
Yeah, like in 94 they thought 2000 was gonna be like this. And here we are.
If you go back to like the 80s and whatnot with like any old like random Nintendo game, you could pop it in. Anything that had like a storyline, or it would always be like in the year 1990X, or it would be like 2000X or whatever, like whatever the X would be the placeholder for the year was, but it would sound so like futuristic and whatnot.
Here we are in 2026. I mean, granted, flying cars are a terrible idea. Do you know how many accidents there would be? Like, yeah, you could never say just not the no Jetsons. I like the Jetsons. Good dog,
Right.
We got an old colleague of ours, Cliff Floyd, there with the Montreal Expos. Uncle Cliffy. And then we closed the pack with 2 heavy hitters here. Iron Man Streak, Mr. Cal Ripken Jr. there, looking like he's getting ready to maybe turn 2. And then last but not least, we have our Sport Flick insert here of Mike Piazza.
That we certainly do. And by the way, shout out to the West Coast Rip Cam making its return to the show.
So the computer that the Rip Cam was on died. I was able to, my office is a disaster. Like you cannot see what it looks like behind me. Like Memorial Day weekend coming up, besides the hockey tournament I'm playing in, the other thing that I will be doing is massive pull out of the closet, throwing out of stuff and reorganizing, and first phase into redoing this office because then I got to paint, carpeting.
I get it, man.
Needs to happen. Been in this house for 8 years. Fine. So there we go. We got it. We got our baseball out of the way. Now we got to do a little football here. If we're going to do all 4 sports today, got to do football. That'll by the time we come back here and Rip N Riff, that's probably what we're going to be leading off with. This is actually the first year of Panini, like making cards here, so that's kind of cool here. Not a ton of value there, but we'll see what we got a little double pack.
Oh, how about that? And it's all rookies from 09?
I don't think it's all rookies from 09. No, it's like it's what they say is all hangers or bangers, right? Let's see.
Hangers or hang them and bang them.
Let's see here. We start off with Hines Ward. These are very thick cards here. The playoff prestige from 2009. Talk about reliable. If there was a reliable receiver, Mount Rushmore, he would have to be on it.
Yeah, I don't know that they make a Mount Rushmore for reliable receivers, but yes, he would certainly qualify.
Now, I have this like thick white thing in here, cardboard holder, so maybe that's a sign of something to come here. We've got a DJ Moore rookie, but it's not the DJ Moore that we're thinking of. It's the cornerback from Vanderbilt. Too early to be the current.
Right, I was going to say DJ Moore has not been in the NFL for that long. I know he's old. He's not that old.
He is not that old. Different DJ Moore there. We've got here's a blast from the past. Larry Johnson. He
Yeah,
had like
really,
a 3-year window where he was just a beast.
yeah, really good running back in his day. Not to be confused with Grandmama Larry Johnson in the NBA.
Also, great series of commercials as well. Um, they don't, then they had the little penny commercials. They don't make commercials like those series are cool. Like they need to go back to that.
They don't, and that was part of when the Chiefs, by the way, they had a nice little string there of like franchise running backs, like with him and Priest Holmes and guys and Jamal Charles and guys like that. So he was part of that lineage.
All right, next up on the list here we have Antonio Bryant on the Bucks, but not the Antonio Bryant you're thinking, different Antonio Bryant. But nonetheless, there he is. And then we got two strong quarterbacks to close the pack out. Number one here, we got Matt Ryan back with the Falcons. And then number two, recently coming back for another season with his old pal, Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, look at young Aaron Rodgers there. And obviously he's in the news, as you mentioned. He agreed to a deal over the weekend. So we get to deal with this Aaron Rodgers stuff for one more NFL season.
You know what, though? At least, like, he's got Pittman, he's got Metcalf, Jalen Warren. They bring in Rico Dowdle. I know they lost Kenneth Gainwell, who I know Rodgers was a big fan of. It seems like he shouted him out like at every other press conference. But yeah, I think Pittsburgh, they should be in better shape than they were last year, but we'll see. It's new coaching. How do they do without Tomlin? That's a big thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, their problem is they're just kind of stuck in that mushy middle, and they don't really have a clear direction, and they're not quite good enough to contend with the top teams in the AFC. And if they go up against a defense like Houston, like Aaron Rodgers can't move at this point of his career, so like Houston's defensive front will just eat him alive. So that's just a team with limited upside.
It's limited upside, but the division also, if you think about it, it's wide open because Cleveland, we don't have much expectation. We don't even know who their starting quarterback is right now. Cincinnati, like, yeah, they could put up points, but defense finally going to be able to do something and help them out. We'll see. Baltimore, new coach there with Lamar Jackson. We'll see if that gets them going again. So the AFC North is actually kind of wide open. First time in a long time.
Yeah.
Division that's not as wide open, the AFC East, the Dolphins here with Ted Ginn Jr.
Yeah, Ted Ginn, who carved out a nice long career, even though I think he was kind of viewed as a bust in terms of being like a receiver, but like he carved out a nice long career as a quality return guy.
That's the thing too. Like, like if he was always kind of like that return guy kind of mold, and for that is fantastic. It's not, receivers were a little bit different than they are now. Now everybody's got to be a specimen. Well, you do have the slot receivers and stuff, but yeah, like maybe in a slot role, if that had been a little more common in his era, maybe he had a little bit of a better career. But by the time that started happening, he was a little too much tread off the tire. Very fast though.
Yeah.
Guy who never really panned out, but had a great college career, Lendell White.
I used to despise Lendell White as an NFL player because I had who was the other running back they had? Chris Johnson?
Yes.
Yeah, like that was the primary back that they had, and Lendale would always come in and vulture the touchdowns, and then he'd do that stupid little dance that he would do when he scored.
Yeah.
And I used to despise that dance.
Did you like Jamal Anderson's Dirty Bird? That one was back in the day.
That's a little further back in the day, and that was probably pre me playing fantasy football, so not me looking at that with like a fantasy slant to it. I mean, Lendale White was like peak fantasy era, and I used to despise him for that reason.
Now, you want to talk about a guy that was a bust. There was a lot of hype around this guy. Matt Jones. Was he taking like 5th overall that year out of Arkansas?
Yeah, I mean, he was supposed to be the next big thing, and just never really panned out. I'm sure there are reasons why it didn't pan out that we don't need to get into here, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
We got a rookie here, Percy Harvin. Oh, I talk about return guys that were dangerous. I mean, Percy Harvin, all those years with the Vikings, Seahawks, one of those guys. He was a threat to return it every time he touched it.
Yep, and wound up winning a championship later in his career with the Seahawks as well.
Let's see here. We got a couple of big time receivers. We got Brandon Marshall there with the Broncos, and Roddy White. So we've got the Matt Ryan, the Roddy White connection out of this pack.
I do like that this is a heavy hitter pack. They're giving you a lot of like notable players on that side of the ball.
Let's keep the receivers going. And this one is after he changed his name, Chad Ochocinco. We actually have a Chad Ochocinco.
All right, that's cool. Just to actually see that written out on the card is pretty cool.
And it's some sort of like, I guess, parallel here because you can kind of see the ridges in the top.
Yeah.
I got to look up what that is. That's pretty cool. We got a couple of heavy hitter running backs here, at least of the era. Steven Jackson, fantasy stud. You talk about fantasy players. There he is, back with the St. Louis Rams.
Yeah, I mean, his issue was just his career was just so short. Like he was basically like really good, but that's kind of the nature of the position with running backs. Though, like you basically have like that 5 or 6 year window, and then it's just like the wheels fall off, especially with how much those guys were used back then.
Yeah, I mean, but he was a big part of those Rams teams that got to the playoffs all those years too. Another guy who was a big time running back. They're pictured back when he was with the Buffalo Bills, Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, and obviously, once he got traded to Seattle, he became a folklore legend there as well, being a part of their Super Bowl championship there and beast mode, and I'm just here so I don't get fined and all that sort of stuff. Who doesn't love Marshawn Lynch?
He's becoming he's always been a kind of lovable. I don't want to say goofball because he's not a goofball, but he's just got like maybe a sprinkle of that in him. But he's that was the NHL draft. I think when they took Jerome McGinley's son, that he's like backstage, like and he's showing him how to fight, and he's like, oh yeah, like he's a guy that loves life and he gives back to his community. Does a lot of good for the East Bay and a lot of good for Oakland. So goes to him. Hope he keeps doing that stuff. And then we got 2 more cards here. Here's one that you'll like, Mr. Eli Manning, making some news this week on what was it, Bussing with the Boys, that his dad didn't agree with him holding out against like not wanting to play for the Chargers, but his dad, even though he didn't agree with it, he went and took the heat, like supporting his kid publicly and trying to take some of the pressure off of him. Like that was a cool little nugget to look back and find out about.
I don't think I ever knew that story. I knew the story of him not wanting to go to San Diego, obviously, but like I don't think I knew that his dad like wasn't a fan of that.
Well, he just said like that was the first time it came out. It was over the weekend that came out.
Okay, I must have missed it.
No, it was so he basically was like, because, and that's what a good parent does. You try to help your kid out, even if don't necessarily agree with the decision they're making. You try to make the best of the situation, and that's why like he tried to take the heat off. Yeah,
that was smart of Archie to take the heat for that, especially with Eli going to New York of all places afterwards. And I mean, look, it's 22 years ago at this point. I mean, I don't want to keep relitigating that. I would say it probably worked out for all parties involved. Eli had a Hall of Fame-esque career in New York. He should be in the Hall of Fame. The fact he's not is ridiculous. Phil Rivers is going to get into the Hall of Fame at some point. A large part of it, why, is because of what he did in San Diego. So, I would say that entire situation worked out for all parties involved.
Apparently, so when the Chargers realized he wasn't going to play for them, they tried to trade him to Cleveland. He says, "I'm not going to play there either." So, not wanting to play for the Browns is one of the truest and oldest traditions the NFL has since they've come back.
Oh, we'll probably get to relive this next year when Arch Manning enters the NFL draft, and you look at the teams at the top of the draft. It'll probably be like the Browns, the Jets, and the Cardinals. It's like good luck picking which one of those organizations you want to hitch your wagon to.
That have no success in their history whatsoever. The Cardinals got to the Super Bowl once. The Jets haven't been there since '69. The Browns have never been. So yeah. So it's gonna be fun times next year, but for dynasty drafts, it'll be great. Now we close.
That might be one where Arch is like, "Yeah, I'll go back to school for another year. I'll take my $15 million in NIL, and I'll take my chances at I don't know, like the Falcons or someone will be picking number one.
Yeah, like, okay, Penix Jr. doesn't pan out or whatever. And yeah, that's the thing. Like, it used to be like, well, I go back to school for a year, but and okay, we knew these guys were probably getting paid something under the table, but nothing like they're making an NIL money now. But there was always the risk of, oh, you get hurt, that could be it. You may not have a career. And yes, that's still true, but at least in college, you're making enough money that okay, if you get hurt and you don't get to the NFL, you should be in a situation where if you're smart, you're set for life. Like, what was Jeremiah Love saying? Like, hey, because the amount of money, NIL money made in college, I don't even touch my Arizona. Like, I can just put that away and invest it. I'm going to start seeing a lot more of that now.
I mean, that's good stuff. That that he's in a position to do that. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that in a row there, but my brain kind of broke for a second.
It was like a record player going that, like skipping, no, a CD skipping that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's crazy to me that like that's like somebody could say that. Like I've made like it's like that basketball line. Like everybody knows Shaq made his money in college. Like it's just like it's become a reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the guy straight up said, I don't need to touch not like he got his first big payday in 5 years. Oh, I don't need to touch. Like guys coming into the NFL saying like, I don't even need that. Like that's just going and investing away.
It's a next level flex. It's almost as good as Gronk when he said he didn't have to touch any of his NFL money, NFL paychecks because he could just live off his endorsement money. It's kind of the same thing, but
Yeah.
But Gronk didn't get to that point until he got into the NFL and was established for a few years. Obviously Jeremiah loves because of the age of NIL. It's he's in a better position to do that.
Gronk's also just a very marketable. Like if he decided if he didn't want to do NFL anymore and just like I guarantee you, Rob Gronkowski will have a short-lived sitcom kind of thing. He will be a part of a cast. That is going to happen.
He should be the next like action star movie. Like he should join like take
Jean-Claude Van Damme kind of.
Right, like take the torch from like Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, like those guys, like all those guys in the Expendables, basically. And just because he's young, you could do some stunts, but it's not really anything that's physically taxing because you have stunt doubles and whatnot. And if I were Gronk, that's what I would do. Like, why would you talk football for a living?
Here's the thing, though. If he's going to do it, it can't be done in like a serious James Bond kind of way. It's almost got to be like a hybrid comedy action movie. You know what I mean? Like he's just got that kind of character. He could pull that off.
Right. Kind of like I guess like a kindergarten cop sort of thing.
Now we're remake a Kindergarten Cop with Rob Gronkowski. There it is. Done.
Man, they should pay me for these ideas.
Somebody should. We got Calvin Johnson to close out the pack there. You talk about all-time legends. I mean, Megatron. Also, it's not a good thing that the Lions have two guys in their franchise history that both walked away still with some of their prime left to be like, nah, I'm good. I'm not signing up for more of this. Sorry.
No, probably not the identifier of an organization that knows what they're doing and has run well. Probably not that sort of indicator.
I mean, Barry was still churning. Sanders was still churning out crazy seasons. He's like, no, I'm gonna. And like, I respect the decision to walk away while you at least have the hope that minimal effects of getting your bell rung a million times won't affect you later on in life. You're trying to cut down on that. I get that.
Calvin also had that weird situation with the Lions where they wanted him to give back some of the performance money that they had paid him or whatnot, and there was a bit of a dispute over that, and he was sort of ostracized from the organization as a result of that for a period. So
that was performance based, and I earned it. So no, I'm going to keep. Thank you very much.
Yeah, which I don't blame him. So there.
And that's the other thing too. Like it's one thing if, hey, help us give it back. We're losing a key player. We've been to the NFC Championship a couple of years in a row. We're almost like. There are scenarios where it's like, all right, I'll give up some of what I've earned or what I deserve if it's going to be for the greater good. We saw Tom Brady do that a bunch in New England. Like, if it's just going to be pissed away and mismanaged, why should I continue? Why should I help you out? I'm one of the only reasons that people are coming to watch this team. Like, this is Connor McDavid in 2026 now. He has done He's taken discounts. He's done everything possible, and they just don't. We've talked about this. So, like, while Austin Matthews leaving Toronto would not surprise me at any point, Connor McDavid leaving Edmonton sooner rather than later not surprise me either.
Yeah, and that's another organization where they've traded so many futures. They just made the coaching change. We don't know who the next head coach is going to be. They want to talk to Bruce Cassidy. Vegas won't let him talk to Bruce Cassidy, which
I
is
wouldn't either.
I think that's bad etiquette. You fire Bruce Cassidy. You clearly moved on. You should let him go and interview.
Not in the same division, because if they come back and beat you in the playoffs, or they come back and win a Stanley Cup before, like, he can go coach somewhere out east. That's fine. I don't want him in my division.
Look, I get he's under contract, and I get they can sort of do whatever they want there in regards to that. That's just bad etiquette.
How is it bad etiquette? To me, it's like trying to maintain a competitive balance within your division. That right now the margin,
but you've already decided that he's not good enough to coach your hockey team. So he's not good enough to coach the Vegas Golden Knights, but he's good enough to coach the Edmonton Oilers.
But I think the issue there is it's not that he wasn't good enough to coach, and it's not that he was a good coach. It was that his way of coaching had run its course. And just like any team, you need a different voice in the locker room, especially if the one in there is apparently been a problem for multiple years with the players on the team. So yes, you could say, go ahead and coach and implement, and they'll be miserable too, but they weren't miserable at first under Cassidy. They won a Stanley Cup under him. So sometimes that approach gets you there and you win. And then after that, it's like, all right, enough of this. Like, we can't keep doing what he wants, but I don't mind it. And I could see the other side of it too, but like, I could totally, I understand why Vegas is like, no, you're not talking. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see how that situation ultimately plays itself out, but I don't think it's good form by the Golden Knights to do that. But then again, the Golden Knights are an organization that has a track record of basically operating like FU. So it doesn't really surprise me that Vegas is denying him permission to do that. So we'll see how this pans out.
Yeah, but just back to McDavid for a minute. Like, what I'm curious is, he's got 2 years left at start this year. They go this year. Let's say they get back to the playoffs, losing the second round. Okay, fine. Get to the next year. What do you do with the trade deadline?
I don't think you can trade McDavid under any circumstances. Like, I get you're running the risk of him leaving and you being, on the hook and getting nothing in return. But like, you're never winning a Connor McDavid trade. And like, what are you going to do with a late first round pick and a top prospect or whatnot?
So I think with that logic, because I agree, at the trade deadline, you're not going to get the value for him that maybe you would in the because I don't think you can, like, because it also depends on the situation Edmonton's in too. If they're the clear front runners in the Pacific going into that stretch, and like, yeah, they should at least get to the conference finals, and yeah, you have to just push your chips in and you deal with what happens. But if it's clear that Edmonton is going to be like an LA Kings of this year, where they're going to get in and get bounced in the first round, or they may miss the playoffs altogether, I don't know if you can. Again, like you said, you can't get fair value at a deadline. So they may need to make that decision after this season. If it's still more of the same, they may have to try and do it with a year left on the deal, and then hopefully somebody.
Yeah, with a year left on the deal, and then it'll be tough.
The team that takes him can sign him for 8 if they want.
It'll be tough because all their guys have no move clause. That's the other thing too, is McDavid and Draisaitl, all those guys have no move clauses. You saw it, Panarin going into free agency this year, it limited the market. Now McDavid's obviously a better player, but when you can sort of dictate where you can go, if you're only going to be like, yeah, I want to go to Vegas and that's about it, that sort of limits what your return's going to be.
Well, one thing I could tell you for damn sure, we just had the discussion about Cassidy coaching in the division. I can give you 7 teams that the Edmonton Oilers are not going to trade Connor McDavid to right now. They are not putting him anywhere in the division. I don't think you can say the whole conference is off the table, but he is not going to be traded anywhere in the Pacific if that happens, unless somebody in the Pacific, unless like Mike Greer says, here's my first round pick for the next 5 years, something like crazy like that. Like, you're not going to trade him. So
yeah, like if they offered like the second overall pick this year at Michael Misa, I think that's a conversation you have to have.
I know a lot of Shark fans love Misa. I think but
like it's Connor McDavid.
But it's Connor in this scenario. It's Connor McDavid. 1, 2. you've got your generational talent in Macklin Celebrini, and it's not just the hardcore rose teal colored lens Sharks fan saying that. It's Sidney Crosby saying, giving up the captaincy to him. It's Connor McDavid saying. So, like, you've got that guy. Now, I know Misa was a number 2 overall pick, and he'd be very good, but I don't know if you can have 2 guys like that on the same team. And I know what you're saying. If McDavid's that guy too, but if McDavid were to come to the Sharks, not that he knows he's second fiddle, he knows this is Macklin's team, and I'm here to ride shotgun. Maybe that's what he wants. Maybe he's tired of shouldering the load of a team for however many years. I don't know if you can have 2 young centers that are literally a year or 2 apart in age like that. Like, I don't know. Like, I think while Misa still has, like, yeah, I would, if it can bring in a guy like a Matthews or a McDavid, I think you have to consider, you have to really kick the tires on a conversation with Misa, especially because you got the 2nd overall this year.
Yep, and that's a gift in and of itself because they obviously weren't expecting to have that 2nd overall pick.
So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason at San Jose. The blue line is the first area of that they need to address. I want to talk about the Devils offseason. I know my boy here, Jared's working on a piece for the.
I'm working on a lot of projects because my editor just reached out this morning. He's like, you should write about trade targets at forward. And I already had my article done for this week, but now I'm going to push that one back a week. So trade targets at forward. I'm going to do a top 10 offseason predictions article at some point. Like I was telling you before the show, I'm going to do the best Devils team to not win a Stanley Cup, which is not to be confused with the best Devils team that did not win a Stanley Cup, which is the 2001 New Jersey Devils that lost to Colorado in 7 games. This will be more of an individual players.
Do you remember where you were watching the end of that game 7? Because I randomly remember being in the basement of my friend Frank Morin's house, and nobody else in the house cared about hockey. So I'm like, I'm going to the TV downstairs to watch this.
You know, that entire time period was a blur because that was right around the time I graduated from high school. So like between like senior prom and high school graduation and like, you know, all sorts of, you know, fuckery that you get into that time of year, you know, that time of your life that like, I don't actually remember watching that game live.
So I remember like that was a great series too. That was like one of those series where all 7 games were strong across the board. Yeah, plenty of Devils content. Jared's got stuff cooking all summer at allaboutthejersey.com. Also plenty of poker content at Jared Moore Poker. Total Hockey Now. Be with you on Thursdays throughout the summer. Doing mock drafts coming up here in just a few weeks. We got a little bit more playoffs to talk about, but yeah, tune in Thursdays, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific at Total Hockey Now. But that does it for this season. Rip and Riff here on the Rip and Riff channel. We're at Mr. Jared. I am at Fucking Thoughts Adam Bernard. Back with you in a couple of months. Back, so no rips here on Rip and Riff. Thanks for watching and have a safe, enjoyable summer.